There it is. All right. I imagine you guys are on Zoom all the time, so you don't need a tutorial on how it all works. Yeah, yep, you're all good. Yeah. So there's really no rules in my classroom. If in the middle of class you just need to kind of slump over and take a little doze, go for it. If you need to change positions, go to a different room, I'm totally fine. You don't need to go grab your new cup of tea. Please go free. You know, feel free to do that. This is your time. Even if we're in the middle of a meditation, get up and go. I will, you know, it's a small group, so I will, you know, if we're doing a meditation, I might just mute all of you in case there's any background noises, but when you need to speak, just unmute yourself and, you know, hop right in there. So let's start. If you guys can just introduce yourselves, although I know 2 out of 3 of you already. Now I know John, so I know all of you, but just tell me a little bit about your experience with meditation. You know, what's worked, what hasn't, you've done it, you've never done it, you know, so on. Kelly, we'll start with you since you volunteered. Thank you.
No problem. So I'm Kelly. I have actually been to a few of Berni's meditation classes, which has been really neat for me. And I think, so in the past, my experience with meditation was a lot of like breathing exercises in therapy, which actually made me more anxious because breathing is part of what makes me anxious. So being in Berni's classes has been really helpful for me because she basically doesn't make you do anything that you don't feel is comfortable for you. And, you know, she's really tapping into that like biological need for just some rest. And so that's what's working for me.
Yay. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, it really is true. There's no rules in this type of meditation. And it's surprising. Most people think meditation, breathing exercises are wonderful, but for quite a large number of people, it causes stress and anxiety, and it's actually counterproductive. Just the instruction, I have a client who has panic attacks, and just the instruction, take a deep breath, makes it worse for her. Physiologically, it'll make it worse. With her, we have to do soft breathing and some other things. So yeah, we don't get into breathing till down the road a ways. And you never have to do a breathing meditation if you don't want to. So thanks for saying that, Kelly. Yay. John, go ahead.
I actually meditate quite a bit. I've been doing it because I've had anxiety and a lot of stuff going on for quite a while. So I've probably gone through a couple different forms of meditation. I usually do on my phone, I'll have like headphones in and do like a guided one. I've also gone as far as to make my own sound and light machine. Like goggles that I actually put on with earphones that has like the, I can't think of the name of the tones at the moment, but.
Oh, the binaural beats?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
So it produces that and the light patterns that mimic it.
That's pretty amazing. Well, good. I hope you take something away, you know, from this. It was designed on research done on meditators from all backgrounds. So hopefully you can take something to tweak what you're doing. Yeah, wonderful. Jen, great to see you.
I'm unmuted now, I guess. Is that okay, Berni?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. I'm so grateful to be here. I miss my coworkers. I have tried meditation a few times and have never really been very successful because my mind wanders. And I know that's part of it, just letting it go and come back. But I'm hoping to learn something useful today to share with my family.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And what you just said about, you know, racing mind and not being able to do certain things, I remove those obstacles for people because meditation can be effortless. All right. So yeah, we'll go. Hopefully you'll take some things away. Kathy, welcome. We're just doing a quick introduction of ourselves and where we are with meditation, what we've done, what's worked, what hasn't.
Do that.
There you go. You're unmuted.
Okay, good. Okay. Hi, everybody. I actually took meditation classes a long time ago, 15 years ago, probably. I loved it. And now I haven't done it since. I used to have a CD from the class, and it was really good. I haven't done it in a long time, so.
Good. Well, Kathy, I'm so glad you're here. It's good to see familiar faces again. And Kylie, I think, is our last intro here.
Hi, I'm having some camera difficulties. So,
okay.
I don't know. I missed everybody's intros, but I'm Kylie. I don't know what everyone else is saying. My experience with meditation, I always find myself getting easily distracted, and so I just kind of want to try it again. I've done it over the years, but right now especially I think it's important. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks, Kylie. What you guys are all saying are the biggest challenges people face is, finding the time and dealing with distractions and dealing with racing thoughts. And we'll go through how to deal with all of those things. And today will be the foundation of this. So there'll be, I'll be teaching you a lot of fundamentals and basics. If you're into taking notes, you might want to jot some things down. You're not required to take notes down, but you might find some of these words and phrases useful for you. So we'll try to address some of the stuff that's happening, that's struggling. For me, I have a biology background. I spent 25 years teaching. I taught biology and chemistry, some in Pennsylvania and some down in Virginia. And I worked at Camp St. Andrew, now Camp Kelly, for 30 years. I think 30 years. It was 30 or 31. I've lost track. But absolutely, that's my favorite place on earth. But anyway, I was teaching, coaching a few sports, doing summer camp. And when camp was over in mid-August, I would take 1 week and go to the beach. Right? That was my week of vacation. Well, it took me about 3 days to stop telling kids running in flip-flops. They were on the beach. I don't know who they were, right? And I would get probably 2 days of really deep rest every year. But I got a lot of positive feedback, oh, yay, you're a good teacher, a good coach. Well, you do a lot for camp. And I just kept going and going and going and pushing because I had the energy and I had the stamina. But by my early 40s, I couldn't keep going on all that adrenaline. And I wasn't really taking care of myself. And I started having a lot of different health issues. One more progressively worse than the next. And finally, there hit a point at camp where I had pneumonia. And I went to work on camp on Sunday, and I thought I was indispensable because I was a director, like camp can't run without me, right? And God went, oh, I'll show you, right? And I ended up, Kelly was there that day. We had our staff meeting on Sunday morning. I said, guys, I'm going to go lay down for an hour, which I would never, ever do on a Sunday. And they're like, Bernie, we got it. I'm like, I'll be up for registration. Kelly's like, no, do you keep resting? And 24 hours later, I'm still in my bed, sweating like crazy. The nurse was checking on me. People were checking on me. And I finally said, somebody please come pack a bag for me. I need to go to the doctor. I know they're going to hospitalize me. I have no idea what's wrong. And I get in the hospital. It turns out I have pneumonia, pretty serious pneumonia. And I was in the hospital for 5 days. And I remember, I didn't admit this for a long time. I remember saying, oh my God, I get to rest. And I just laid in bed and did nothing for 5 days. And I almost died. I felt my spirit leaving my body when I was there. And I held on and said, no, I need to stay. And I didn't admit that for a long time. So it was a really big wake-up call. And somewhere in the midst of all of, around that time frame, my mom died, a long-term relationship ended very badly, and my dog died. So like, I did not know how to cope. It was like, like a bad country song all in about 1.5 years. And I didn't know how to deal with the grief and the emotions. I was raised Irish Catholic. My mom was right from Ireland, so I don't have any emotions whatsoever, right? So anyway, so about 1.5 years, grief was my identity. I'd drive down to teach in Scranton. I'd cry the whole way. I'd cry in the coach's locker room in between periods. I'd cry on the way home. I had no coping skills. I knew how to do, but I didn't know how to be with myself. And about 1.5 years into that, a friend of mine and my sister and another, my friend's daughter, we went for a women's getaway weekend, and it was a little bit of everything. And part of it was meditation. And I sat in the room like this, like, oh, meditation, woo woo, what's this stuff? What are these people talking about? But then on Saturday afternoon, they did this kind of little exercise with us, and I felt something shift in my body. And I went, oh, that's what people are talking about. So I got real curious about it. So I went home and got on the computer, how to meditate, right? Whoa, way too much stuff out there, like some astral projection and this. I'm like, oh, too much. Then I get a book, how to meditate, right? So I open up the book. First, close your eyes. Well, how am I supposed to read the book, right? So that didn't work. And then somebody gave me a video and I put that in, and I wish I'd kept this, but the guy was like, okay, now stare at the carpet with your eyes half closed for 20 minutes. And I went, shoot me, no way, I can't do that. So I eventually went to a week-long retreat up in Massachusetts. It was the week after camp. Instead of going to the beach, I went up to Massachusetts for a week. Had no idea what I was getting myself into. Yoga retreat center. Everyone else in the class were like yoga teachers, wellness center owners. I'm like, yeah, I teach biology and I've never meditated. And it turns out the guy teaching the class was the one person I needed to meet out of all the meditation coaches in the world, because he had his PhD in meditation, and he started talking about the biology and what's going on with your senses and how your body reacts to all of this. And it made sense to me. He spoke on a ground level chill as could be, and without acting like a guru. He doesn't even like to be called a guru. And I went, I get this, and I felt it. And I felt myself changing that week. I get back to school, I start sharing it with my students 1 minute at a time. And I felt it change my life. I started sharing it in the community gradually. And after 2 years, I went into the principal at Scranton Prep and I said, Matt, I'm not coming back next year. I'm going to go teach meditation. And he went, what? He about fell off his chair. But I saw my students, when I started sharing it with my students 1 minute at a time, at the end of the first week of doing it, one boy, everybody left the class and one boy lingered. He was a very tall guy. Everyone left the room and he lingered and he said, Miss K, I would not have made it through the week without that minute break every day. And I went, and he meant I wouldn't have made it through the week. And I did not realize how stressed our young people are. It was just, we are in a culture of stress in our workplaces, in our homes, in our schools, where if you're stressed, you fit in. If you're not stressed, people are like, well, what's wrong with you, you know? And kids are really, really hurting with the demands on their time in terms of all their sports and activities and clubs and work. And it's way beyond what it was even 20 years ago. And they're really hurting. And I knew as much as I love teaching, I needed to get out and bring this back to adults, to kids, to teachers, because it's okay for us to rest. And when I was laying in the hospital, it was okay because I was sick, or I'm on vacation, it's okay. But we're not allowed to rest if we're not on vacation or we're not sick. Just to say I need time, most people have tough time doing that. So anyway, that's how I became a meditation coach. I've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, although I'm currently staying with family in Alabama. And I do this all over the country. I worked with about 2,600 people and really, really enjoy sharing this with people. So that's what brought me here. So let's jump right into this idea of meditation being a natural biological process. We understand the stress response, right? You go to cross the street, a car almost hits you, boom, everything kicks into high speed to save your life. And that's a very natural, fast response. Adrenaline, cortisol, boom, we all know that. But our bodies are beautifully built to have both the stress response and the relaxation response. And the relaxation response is just as quick and just as automatic, but we don't talk about that because we override it with do, go, go, go. And it's really fascinating. I want to show you how powerful your body is and how it responds to language, because the meditation I teach is based around the language that you're going to say to yourself to trigger relaxation. But I'd like you to think now for 30 seconds about your favorite food. What's your favorite food? I lied, I'm only going to give you about 5 seconds. What's your mouth already doing? Is it watering? Nod your head. Yeah. Just by thinking about your food, the DNA, the RNA starts decoding. You start making salivary amylase, a protein and enzyme. It goes into your mouth, and then your stomach, your pancreas, your small intestine are already getting ready for this food that you think is coming. And this is how powerful your words are. It can change your physiology like that. And so in meditation, I'm going to teach you words to use that will remove cultural blocks against rest, unless you're on vacation or sick, and allow your body to drop into it. Your body will cooperate. Your body knows how to do this. You don't have to go see a guru in India to learn how to meditate. So I just help you uncover what you already naturally know how to do. And you're wired to do this, all right? This is not something invented 2,000 years ago. We've been built to do this always. And so we've got to find a way that suits our bodies, our culture, you know, our lives. So when people struggle in meditation, if you believe meditation is natural and you're struggling, it means there's something imposed, some rule that we can throw out the window. So the first thing that people always tell you to do is close your eyes. But what if you don't want to close your eyes, right? You don't have to close your eyes. So it sounds really simple, but the first exercise we're going to do is to let your eyes do what they want to do. I was doing a weekend retreat for teachers in Virginia, and one of the teachers couldn't be there for this intro class on Friday night. And I said, oh gosh, okay, we need to hop on the phone and do this session. You can't show up Saturday morning and you'll be out of kind of the loop. And she said, okay. Now later on, she told me, Bernie, I didn't want to get on a phone call with you. I've been teaching mindfulness. I know what it's all about. I just wanted you to send me a PDF, but she gets on the call with me. And I said, okay, you know, your eyes really can be open or closed. It's a myth that your eyes have to be closed. And she went, oh yeah, I teach mindfulness. I work at an all boys school and we do meditation every day. And I always tell the boys to close their eyes. And one little boy always keeps his eyes open, and he looks at me apologetically. And I go, oh, that's a problem. Nobody should ever apologize for wanting to keep their eyes open. For whatever reason, he needed his eyes open. It could be just he wanted to look out the window, or he didn't feel safe, or he was bullied, or whatever, just what his body needed. And she went, okay. So the next morning, Friday morning, she went in and she tried it with her boys before she came to the retreat. And she said, Bernie, now when she gave them permission to have the eyes open or closed, now 4 boys had their eyes open. So now more kids had left their eyes closed because they were told that's what they're supposed to do. So this is very simple, but what we're learning is a couple things. One, there's no rules. And number 2, to listen to your body. Part of meditation is spending time with yourself and tuning into yourself and having self-awareness. And it sounds so basic, but this can be really profound little exercise. I had somebody do this, working grandmother who was raising one of her grandchildren, in addition had raised all her kids. She'd never meditated before. And we did this one exercise and she went right into a deep meditation because she had been working so hard for so many years. All she needed was a tiny little glimmer of an opening, and down she went. But even if it's not a whole meditation practice, it's a skill that healthy meditators have, is they know they can have their eyes open or closed. I was at a continuing education class and it was a type of meditation not like mine. And the teacher was telling us all to close our eyes. And I just sat there like this. Oh boy, she was mad at me because I was not cooperating. You need to be a rebel in this type. So when we do this exercise, I want you to just listen to your body. And we're going to go for a whole minute. I'll let you know when that's up. And listen to what your eyes want. Be very careful. And people sometimes will do this. Oh, 1 minute, 30 minutes open, 30 minutes closed. Listen, if your eyes want to be open, great. If they want to close, let them close of their own accord when they're ready and actually enjoy the process. And if they want to go back and forth, or if they want to be half open, half closed, that's fine. Are you ready? All right. So you've got to say the words to yourself, either out loud or quietly, but my eyes can be open or closed, or something like, hey, eyes, what do you want to do right now? And tune in very gently for a minute. All right, that's been about a minute. If you guys can give me a little feedback on what you experienced, it's always very helpful. I can do even more coaching when I hear from you guys, whether that was easy or hard or what you experienced with that. So you can just unmute yourself or throw something in the chat box, whatever's easier. And I'm okay with silence, by the way. Don't forget I taught chemistry and biology. I'm used to asking a question and everyone just kind of staring at me. So I'm okay with some silence as you guys, are pondering if you want to say anything.
Bernie, I loved having, I turned my video off because I'm just not a video person. I thought you'd be okay with that.
Totally fine.
I loved having my eyes closed, but my mind was racing through what I need to do when I get off this call, to be honest.
Well, thank you for that. And that's number one thing people come to me for. And in our next couple exercises, we're going to address that issue.
Okay.
Yay. Totally normal. You're normal. Anybody else on your eyes or what you were experiencing?
I found it very relaxing.
Uh,
And I need that sometimes. So I found it very, my eyes closed, I think, pretty quickly. But
wonderful. It can be that simple, Kathy. It can just be, my eyes can be open or closed. Take a minute. And these exercises are really useful in transition time. Maybe between one phone call and the next at work, between work and home, between dinner and whatever else is going on, is just my eyes can be open or closed. And that might be all you need.
Yep.
Cool. Anybody else on the eyes exercise?
I was just like I said, I tried different meditations, and like you said, a lot of them prefer that your eyes are closed for some reason. And I think just from being used to it, I usually keep my eyes closed, but I tried doing it open this time, and it is just as relaxing. So
Yay.
natural either way.
Thanks, John. So here's a big thing that will help you with meditation. If you're struggling at all, ask yourself, what rule am I trying to follow? And does it make sense to me? And if not, throw it out. So it solves a lot of meditation problems. I'm struggling. Why? I don't like my eyes closed. Well, what's the rule? Well, you have to have your eyes closed. No, I don't. Boom, throw the rule out. I'm struggling. Why? My knee hurts from basketball, so I can't sit cross-legged on a cushion. Well, what's the rule? You have to sit cross-legged on a cushion. Well, no, you don't, because that means I would never meditate. That's bogus. Throw it out the window. Now, you might like sitting cross-legged on a cushion like you see the traditional. That's fine. But if it doesn't work for you, throw it out the window, right? I can't meditate. I struggle because I don't like to sit still. And I don't like to be inside. What are the rules? You have to sit still and you've got to be inside. Well, that doesn't make sense because I like to move and I like being outdoors. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So you see how you can remove any struggles. If you believe meditation is a natural process, we throw out any rules that don't work for you. Okay. So let's, any other comments on that before we do the next exercise? All right. Practice that. I'm telling you, practice it, practice it, practice it till it's second nature that your eyes, everything that you do should feel natural and at ease. And so practice that. Next thing we're going to do is an exercise called permission to rest. And in order to meditate, you have to give yourself permission to take a time out. And it's not okay in our culture to rest unless you're sick or on vacation. So this is very subtle in the background that it's not okay for you to rest. And we end up struggling, and our meditation becomes that guilt-filled hard work. And this is why so many people say, I used to meditate, I haven't done it in 10 years. Because there's some sort of struggle that makes it not enjoyable or fun or effective. And all of a sudden you're like, I don't do it, even though I know it's good for me. And I felt good when I was doing it kind of, but I'm not doing it anymore. So we're going to remove all obstacles. So when you give yourself permission to rest, there's two keys here. Number one, make sure you mean it from your gut level. If you say it from the intellectual, from the neck up, it doesn't mean anything. If you say it from your gut, your body will go like, just like, oh my God, my favorite food is, right? Your body will say, oh, permission to rest. Okay, everything must be safe. The tigers aren't chasing you anymore. And your body will cooperate if you mean those words. It's really pretty fascinating. I was working with a young lady who she knows I tell this story. She's given me permission, but she, late 20s, had some weight issues, went to the doctor. Hey, your cortisol levels are double normal. That's dangerous at such a young age. I want to put you on medication. And she said, I'm going to pass on the pills right now. Let me try something. Bernie, will you work with me? Yeah. All right, Lindsay, give yourself permission to rest. And this is what I heard. Not all of it was verbal. Yeah, I give myself permission to rest. Whatever. This is stupid, right? I could just hear her tone. And at the end, she goes, yeah, I did not engage with that at all. I said, oh, really? And she let me try it again. So she did it and she meant it. And she felt a subtle shift. And so we continued working together. And 2 months later, she goes back to her doctor and her cortisol levels are normal. And the only thing she added was meditation. Now, I technically can't promise any medical benefits, but I see them over and over again with people. But my point is that you've got to say this from your belly and mean it. The only other thing I'm going to say is you want to avoid using this like a jackhammer mantra. Sometimes people will do this. I give myself permission to rest. I give myself permission to rest. I give myself permission to rest. I give myself, no. Say I give myself permission to rest and hang with it. If you want to repeat it, great, but give yourself a pause in between and we're going to see what's going to happen with this. So say it from your belly. You need to say it either out loud or quietly to yourself, but it's got to be from your belly and don't jackhammer it. And we're going to sit for a minute. And some of you are going to find this super easy and like relaxing, and others of you are going to be like, oh, I have challenges within this, and that's okay. All right. So let's just review real quick. My eyes can be open or closed for 5 or 10 seconds. That becomes a habit. And then with some feeling in your belly, I give myself permission to rest. All right, that's been about a minute. Again, I'd love to have your feedback. It makes the teaching points much easier to make, whether it was easy, hard, where you had struggles, what you experienced.
I'll share.
Thanks, Kelly.
So I grabbed a pillow because I like pressure. That's helpful to me. But I found that as soon as I just kind of like slumped into my pillow, I got like twitches in my neck. My muscles are doing all sorts of things, and just kind of releasing some of the tension. But it almost, my initial response is like, stop it, muscles. Like I'm trying to rest here. When I realized that what my body was trying to do was to relax.
Yeah, wow, Kelly, that's really powerful. Your muscles twitching is actually a release of stress. It's a natural process. So kudos. 2 things you did beautifully. I allowed myself to slump. 3 things. I held a pillow and I let myself twitch. When a deer runs across the road and almost gets hit by a car, it'll go into the field and it'll shake because it releases trauma. There's a book I'm trying to think about, Waking the Tiger, but it's about trauma in the body and how we release it. And so often when you relax, you will get some sort of twitch or shaking, and it's just your body unwinding and releasing. So kudos for not fighting that. Yeah. Anybody else on their permission to rest? Every one of you had a different experience.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me. I try, you know, I close my eyes, I have to breathe heavily to say it's okay. Like I have high anxiety sometimes, and so it's kind of hard for me to, you know, tell myself I have permission to relax. So when I really focus though, it does feel good. It kind of feels like it's okay, like it's like someone's patting you on the back, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds cheesy, but it does. I do this often. It's just like it's okay. Just calm down. It's okay to take a break, and I've been working on that, and it's kind of nice to do it with everybody. So.
Mm-hmm. And Kylie, what's the hard part? Describe what's happening that you feel is a challenge.
Sometimes I just feel like you're being lazy. You need to do something. In my head, I'm like, you need, you know, I don't know. It's just part of my anxiety. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's like I just feel like I should be doing something else. I don't know if I don't know where it comes from, but yeah.
It's culturally not okay for you to rest, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where it comes from. It's guilt. It's really pervasive. What you just described, it's not okay for me to rest. I've had people start crying. They're like, I'm not supposed to rest. Or they'll start crying and say, oh my God, I haven't given myself this permission in 40 years. And so practicing this until it gets comfortable is really, really important for anybody. But thank you for being so honest and describing what that is. But yes, it's very, very common to feel tremendous guilt and anxiety over rest. Yeah. I'm going to help you remove that in the next exercise we do.
Bernie,
Yeah.
it's really nice to hear you say that because the cultural thing, Kylie, I share your thought process because I too, like, I remember like raising my kids and people would always say, when your kids nap, you nap. And I would be like, what? How am I going to nap? I have to mop the floor. I have to blah, blah, blah. Like I never, ever, ever did that. And I don't know why. Did I get a gold star or a prize or anything? No. It probably made me, you know, not as capable of doing the thing that I should have been focused on, you know? So saying that, it's so true. And I never really, oddly, I never really thought about that it's a cultural thing. You know, I always attribute it to being raised in a Catholic family, the guilt that comes with that. But I don't know. I'm not sure that's it. But yeah, I guess it's a cultural thing. So that,
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome. It's really cultural. I mean, think about our culture. We're a frontier country, you know, left our families mostly from Europe and came over. And then all of a sudden we're in this new land with no support system. You got to figure it out and you got to get things done. Right. And there's this sense, and we still have that frontier mentality. And we also have a very strong athletic culture, which is an academic culture. Everything's competitive. You know, if you rest, you rust, and no pain, no gain. You know, idleness is the devil's work, right? It's pervasive. And so, yeah, it's very, very strongly ingrained in us. So it takes time to rewire people's brains around this. And then your body will cooperate with that. Anything else you guys want to add before we do the next exercise? Okay. So this next exercise is permission to rest again, but we're going to add a few layers on here because there's some myths around what meditation is. And one of the biggest myths is around thoughts. And what do people say? Empty your mind, stop thinking, right? I was in a yoga class once after I learned this, somewhere in Clark Summit. And I get in there and the instructor says, first, everybody, remove all thoughts from your brain. And I wish I wanted to be such a smart ass and go, can you give me more instructions? Because I can't figure that out. They can't answer it because they can't do it either. So why do we think we have to stop our thoughts? Well, two reasons. Number one, I think monks, the monastic tradition, think about a monk's life. They were in their towns or villages. They've gone to the monastery probably at a very young age, and they've left behind worldly goods, family, you know, supposedly love relationships. They've left that all behind, and now they're in the monastery, and they're you know, obedient to whoever the leader is. They're praying and meditating 10 hours a day, and their life is different than ours. They have a roof over their head. Their health insurance is taken care of. They're taking care of an old age. They wear the same outfit every day, so they don't even have to make a decision on that, right? So now I'm totally generalizing here, but their lives are very different. And their meditation practice is often meant to, let's block out the real world and transcend, you know, into this beautiful spiritual experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you've been around monks, their energy is beautiful. They bring beautiful love and energy to the world, but their lives are not like our lives. But a lot of their meditation practices have been given to us in some form, and we're trying to be like a monk. And so it doesn't always suit us. If it suits you, do it. If it doesn't suit you, don't do it. Okay, because it can be harmful to you if you meditate like a monk when you're not a monk. Okay, it just doesn't work. Like, it would be like telling a monk to live an everyday person's life. They won't fit in at the monastery anymore. So you have to understand that there is a difference with that. The second thing is, because monks have meditated and prayed all the time, their stuff moves, and they have thoughts and they have feelings and they have emotions, but they spend 10 hours a day with that roughly, you know, so they don't have as much stuff piled up, and they'll sit to meditate and feel like they're blank. But it's because when you meditate 10 hours a day, it's like you go to the beach for a week and you sit there and you get great weather. By the end of the week, you're just like mush and like, oh, this is great. I'm not worried about anything, right? And so their lives are very, very different. And so I think they jump from meditation to blank mind, and we assume that's what you have to have, and that's what most people's goals are, and then they struggle right from the get-go. So we're going to remove that rule. I'm struggling. Why? Because I'm thinking. What's the rule? You're not allowed to think. Well, that's stupid. I have 60,000 thoughts a day in my 20-minute meditation. I'm supposed to stop them? I don't think so. I'm allowed to think. So we'll get rid of that rule. The difference here is when you have thoughts and emotions and sensations, you just go, oh, that's interesting. I don't have to fix, change, or solve anyone or anything right now. Okay. And that takes the weight off. So if you think of your natural meditative spots, I love the beach. I'm sitting on the beach and I start thinking, I've got to do this project at work. I've got to call a family member. I've got to deal with this issue. I've got to make a decision. But you're at the beach. You're like, oh my God, the waves, the sun. I'm 4 hours away. I don't have to do anything about it right now. And meanwhile, you're not stopping them. You just go, I can't do anything. And now stuff is percolating in your brain, different parts of your brain are going click, 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 and they're helping solve things for you. Different patterns in your brain. If you look at an MRI when you're at work, your brain's going to light up a certain way. When you're resting at the beach, your brain is still really, really, really active, but different networks. And so we don't come to a screeching halt when we meditate. We just let different networks come into play. And that's where the healing and the healthy stuff from meditation comes, if we allow a flow in our meditation. So when you're at the beach, you don't say, I'm going to focus on the wave and only the wave and nothing else, and I'm not allowed to think. You're just like, the wave, the sky, the sand. I think I'm going to go for a walk. Oh, la, la, la. You're just naturally present with all your senses wide open. And so when we meditate in this style, you have something you pay attention to, but it's very gentle and very soft. And when you're meditating, I call this my dam analogy, okay? So we're going to put a wall up here, okay? And over the course of your day, your week, your life, stuff gets behind the wall. It might be, oh my God, I got a great package in the mail from a friend today. Oh, I want to savor it and I want to, respond. Or you might be like, oh God, I have this great memory of hanging with my grandma making chocolate chip cookies. I'm going to make cookies today. Okay. Or somebody might have cut you off in traffic and you're just like angry, or you had a fight with somebody at work, or you got some issue going on, whatever. Today, yesterday, your whole life. When you go to meditate, the wall drops and this stuff shows up as thoughts, feelings, emotions. And what do we do in this culture? We go, we have failed. We're thinking and feeling and having sensations. We're failed. Stop, stop, stop. Meanwhile, this is when, if we let stuff flow, it doesn't get stuck in our bodies. For me, it gets stuck in my neck and in my belly. And so when I relax, the wall comes down. And when the wall comes down, stuff moves. So we welcome thoughts, feelings, emotions as part of our meditation, not something to get through in order to have a successful meditation practice. So you might sit to meditate and a million things come over this wall. Or you might sit to meditate and nothing comes over the wall, hence an empty mind. They're both okay and they're both equally good. If you only see empty as good and busy as bad, you're going to struggle with meditation and walk away from it because it's just going to be frustrating. So it should feel kind of effortless. So this is different than what most people have heard. When you do meditate, you want to make sure that you let this wall down just a little bit at a time. If you drop the wall too much, you're going to get a tsunami of stuff and it can be overwhelming. So in meditation, you start with a couple minutes here and there so you get used to stuff moving. And that's a really good part of meditation. So let's do permission to rest again, and then we'll do a longer meditation to finish up. But I want you to experience that permission to rest with these concepts in mind. So I'll talk a little longer, and then once I'm done talking, we'll spend a whole minute and see if that changes your experience at all. All right. So eyes can be open or closed. You should be getting good at that now, right? And then with some feeling in my belly, I give myself permission to rest. I welcome thoughts, whether they're fast or slow. I welcome whether I have lots or none. I just don't have to change, solve, or fix anyone or anything right now. I welcome thoughts and emotions, sensations in my body, things that my senses pick up, emotions. I just don't have to do anything about it. I give myself permission to rest. Okay, that's been about a minute. If you want to stay where you are, stay with that. If you want to come on back. Love to hear from some of you how that was the same or different, and what that was like.
I could say without you talking, like I didn't realize you started talking. Like when I first, like my eyes closed, so I could hear all the background noise and everything in the house until you started talking, and then I really didn't hear that. I heard you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stopped talking, I didn't even realize. It was like I didn't hear anything. It was kind of weird. It was like it felt good. It was different.
Wonderful, Kathy. And
Yeah,
that's when you welcome things, they often get quieter.
I can actually get myself to relax. I do give myself permission to relax.
Good.
I have to. My life is insane. So there are times when I do that for myself. Like I do let myself relax. Not like that. That was nice. Yeah.
It's a survival tool. So kudos,
It's
Kathy.
definitely a survival tool.
Mm-hmm.
I would be crazy if I didn't.
Mm-hmm. And listen to the words that she said. She didn't say, I blocked out the distraction. She just went, oh, I hear things. I'm going to put my awareness over here. Oh, those noises are gone. It's very different than saying block the distractions. Because once you say block, here's what you're doing. Block, block, block. Why can't I do this? And instead you're like, I don't have to do anything about them.
Yeah.
Unless it's like somebody like running a motorcycle in the room next door, you might be like, come on, guys, but
yeah.
Typically distractions are seen as negative when you're just like, oh, that's something else to pay attention to. And that's something we'll talk about next week. If you're in class is how to deal with awareness moving and how to welcome that. But Kathy, very well done. And my word, you might hear what I say, you might not hear anything I say. It's just letting yourself go into
At
it.
first I could tell you what you were saying, not now, I can't remember, but
Yeah.
before you finished, I didn't even hear your words anymore.
That's, you know what, and that's brilliant. I often I bring that up when we do a longer meditation. What I say is not important. And what you did is a really big skill of a meditator is you don't have to listen to the teacher, right? You just kind of let yourself go.
Mhm.
I always love it when I love it when someone says, Bernie, I have no idea what you said after permission to rest, but I don't know, it was really good, but I didn't listen to you.
Yeah.
My chemistry kids would love me now. We don't have to listen to you.
Yeah.
But thank you. That's very skillful what you just did. Anybody else on that second round of permission to rest with welcoming? John, go ahead.
First, I want to say, when you're making the motorcycle analogy,
Yeah.
the ironic thing is I'm right by a window and someone literally just drove by on a motorcycle. So.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, since I'm more of like a visual person, like I usually have a lot of thoughts racing in my head too. And for a long time, I've struggled with like trying to stop them myself. I turned it where I just kind of like I said, like with the guided meditation where you can visualize stuff. I sometimes just try to focus on, if my mind's gonna be racing, I'm gonna focus on something that'll comfort me. So usually I'll just focus on thinking about like, it doesn't have to be like anything in particular, but just be like swirls of color or light or whatever. But it seems to work really fast. But
Thanks, John. And that's really important. A lot of what we do is spend time with something that you love or something that interests you. And then that stuff is moving up and over the dam kind of in the background and you don't even realize it's moving, which is very different than saying, I'm going to pay attention to that visual tree so I can block out the thoughts. Very subtly different is, I'm going to pay attention to that tree. And then that stuff can kind of percolate as it needs to, a little quieter for me, but it's still moving. And I might be aware of it and I might not, but very, very subtle difference in the language that we want to make sure we're not blocking. So yeah, kudos. And that's what we do.
And that's exactly it. The thoughts are in the background, like they're still there, but like there's like other focuses that are more calming along with them. So
yeah, that's John, that's absolutely brilliant. And it's a very subtle difference between I'm not going to think versus, I love that. And they're still there. Yeah, kudos. Anybody else on that second one? Okay, so let's do a longer meditation here to kind of put some of these skills into place. And what we're going to do is a meditation on memories and senses, because if this is very comparable to what you do when you're in a natural meditative spot like the beach, let's do a meditation when you're at a natural meditative spot, so you can feel when a life experience is so rich and you're so present and it's so vivid that you might remember it 15 years later in great detail. That's a great meditative tool. So I'd like you to think of 1, 2, or 3 memories of when it felt really great to be alive on this earth. And it could be something from childhood. It could have been something from yesterday. It could be a profound experience, or it could be a routine everyday experience that just was really special in that moment. So think for a moment of 1, 2, or 3 of these memories. And then as we go through the meditation, feel free to jump to a whole other memory or to look out the window and look at the trees and ignore the memory part of this. It's up to you. Give yourself freedom to journey within this meditation. You might bounce back and forth or stay with one. I don't know. At any point, if you don't want to listen to me, just kind of drift off into your own thing. So pick one of your memories and place yourself back, right back in the middle of the scene. And take it all in. And then we'll go through each one of your senses to kind of jog your memory. These are just suggestions. So start with vision. I am aware of seeing. It's a trick to use an I am phrase to put yourself more back in that moment and pull it into the present. I am aware of seeing. Release your eyes from any control and let them move wherever they want to go in this memory. Maybe you see the face of a loved one, or waves crashing at the beach, or a beautiful outdoor scene, but just a gathering of special people, maybe colors or shapes, movement or faces, I am aware of seeing. And then open up the sense of hearing. What sounds are in your memories? I am aware of the sound of. Maybe laughter at a gathering, the sound of waves crashing at the beach, the sound of wood crackling in a fire at a fireplace or a campfire. Maybe the ambient sounds of being in your favorite restaurant, or the sounds of your favorite music at a concert. I am aware of the sounds of, and be willing to be surprised by what you hear. Then open up your sense of smell. I am aware of the smell of. If there's no smells in your memory, you can go to some other sense or just take it all in. I am aware of the smell of. Maybe the salt air at the beach, the smell of cotton candy at the carnival, the smell of lilacs in the spring, or the smell of the air right before a snowstorm, or the smell of the earth after that first spring rain. Maybe the smell of your favorite person's perfume or cologne, or your grandpa's pipe, or the smell of chocolate chip cookies in the kitchen. I am aware of the smell of. And don't be surprised if this triggers emotion. Smell is very strongly connected to that. Welcome them as you feel able. I am aware of the smell of. Then consider the sense of taste. Is there a taste in your memory, or just think of your favorite food again, or go to another sense? I am aware of the taste of. Maybe Sunday dinner in your grandma's kitchen, or the first restaurant you're going to hit when things open up again. Maybe a holiday meal. Maybe the taste or the texture or the company. I am aware of the taste of. And then consider the sense of touch. I am aware of touching or being touched by. Maybe holding a newborn baby, holding the hand of somebody you love. Maybe the touch of your favorite blanket in your lap, sitting by a fire. Maybe the touch of lake water or ocean water or a swimming pool on a hot day. Maybe the touch of the sun on your face or a breeze on your skin. I am aware of touching or being touched by. Now for a few breaths, either return to whichever sense you enjoyed the most and linger there a little longer, or take it all in like a symphony. Welcome these natural meditative moments. And then gently start to bring yourself back. A stretch, a yawn, a sigh, whatever feels right for you. Maybe a gentle twist. And if you're ready, when you're ready, if your eyes were closed, open them gently once again, taking in your surroundings. I know meditation is very personal and you might be kind of like really chill right now, but if you're able to speak and share anything, feel free to do that.
I'll share. So I find that when I haven't meditated in a while, especially if I have any anxiety going into it, that for the first few minutes, it seems like my anxiety is really amplified. I can feel it in my chest a lot more. And it doesn't feel, it feels like anxiety, but it doesn't feel quite as overwhelming, perhaps, as it does when I'm just feeling it in my everyday. And then you may or may not have seen that I thought my phone was on silent and then it rang in the middle of it, which scared the crap out of me. So I went and put my phone back on silent, and when I came back to it and like took another minute to settle in, I realized that that anxiety was gone. And that, you know, I had noticed it being very intense when I started, and then even after a startle, I was a lot more calm.
And Kelly, that's beautiful, because that's a skillful meditator. When you relax, down comes the wall and up comes this stuff. And if you see it as part of your meditation, you have the experience that you just described. Oh, things shifted. I'm still good. Yeah. So that those feelings are success in meditation because you're letting them move. So that's very skillful how you describe that. So kudos. Anybody else? You may have felt some strong emotions pop up during that, and that's totally normal as well. And those emotions often weren't felt originally, and they're coming up to be like, hey, I'm here now, and that's okay too. You can cry in meditation, you can laugh, you can feel like you're just like in a bubble. It doesn't matter. It's all part of it. But in those natural meditative moments, you have thoughts, you have feelings, you have emotions, your senses are wide open, and you have sensations in your body. So when you sit to do a formal meditation practice, which I hate to even call it formal, it should be pretty informal, it's going to feel like that kind of ebb and flow and thoughts and feelings and emotions while your senses are open, and you can get a lot of great healing from that. So this is only one technique. If you guys stay and we can keep doing more classes, we'll do everything from gratitude to breathing to body scans to vision to hearing to having a cup of tea meditation. There's so many options out there, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. You can create your own. It's just, how do you spend time with yourself? And then how do you find something that you love to spend time with as a way to drop in? And if you've noticed, we've been on the call for almost an hour and I have not used the words focus or concentrate yet. All right, which are two other buzzwords in meditation, which imply stay right here. If you meander, you have failed, come back. Ours is more of a gentle awareness. And I might have a focus and it might be gratitude or a memory. But when you're in that meditation, you also be like, oh, there goes a motorcycle, I'm coming back, or I have a big emotion around that, or ooh, up comes some anxiety or thoughts or this or that. And it's just all part of the puzzle while you're spending time within that memory. And sometimes, like Kathy said, you'll just all of a sudden be like, I just drifted off into something. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I wasn't with the memory anymore. That could just mean I'm in deeper meditative states, right? Or I'm taking a little doze. Fabulous and wonderful. The technique is not the goal. The technique is just a way for your body to go, everything is good. And then let your body do what it needs to do. So if you're doing a breathing meditation and you drift away from the breathing, you might be drifting into a really nice, deep meditation. And then people yank themselves out because they think they're supposed to be following the rules or the instructions. These are just doorways into doing how Kathy described as, yeah, I was with you and then I wasn't with you, but it was really good. That's all it is. So this is typically how we do a class. I'll check in and say, how was your meditation the past week? And then we'll talk and practice a couple 1-minute skills just to keep breaking, cultural habits that are stopping you. And then I'll do a longer guided meditation. And then I'll suggest, here's how you might want to use this during the week. If you really want to have a meditation practice, you've got to do something during the week. I don't have any rules, obviously. I'm not going to say 10 minutes twice a day because that might work, for Jennifer, but not for Kylie. And, I don't know. So set some sort of an intention that, all right, I'm going to do 1 minute of permission to rest, and my eyes can be open or closed before I leave the house every day. Well, you guys might not be leaving your house. That's not a good analogy, but you get the idea, right? Or I might do it in between phone calls. And then maybe I'll do a memory meditation twice this week. I don't know what it's going to be for you. And the memory one is a 1,000 meditations in one, because you can say, I'm going to do a memory of childhood, or I'm going to do my favorite memory of camp, which I go there in meditation. One of my favorite meditations right now is to meditate on where I've hiked in my life, all the different trails I've been on. So I walked around the lake yesterday at camp in my meditation. Then I was also on a trail in Ireland and also on a trail in Asheville. And for me, that's really fun. So it can be a memory of any category you can imagine, or you can also use your senses in your day-to-day life. I'm going to open up vision when I walk around the block with the dog today. Notice what I can see, right? Or it can be open up my senses before I sit with the meal. So it's really up to you how you play with that. If there's interest and people want to continue, I'll do this on Wednesdays, as long as there's interest. And then starting next week, they'll be donation based. And I'll just have a link on my website and share that with you guys. If you can make a donation, that's great, no expectations. But if you can, that would be fabulous. I've decided that 30% of anything that comes in from this, I'll give right back to Camp Kelly, because that's my favorite place on earth. And it's been very influential in my life, and it's really important what it does for our kids in our region. So this recording will be up on, I'll send you a link to this. My Zoom links are only good for about 48 hours because I have so many classes going right now. I don't have enough memory in Zoom without paying them a boatload of money to store my stuff. So if you want to download this, get the link and download it so you have it. And if you know anybody else that's interested or you think this might be helpful, tell them if they don't have the link, it'll be posted on my website by tomorrow. And there's a page, if you go to bernik.com, berni-k.com, under webinars, there'll be a UNC page and it'll be on there. So,
Berni,
yeah.
You said you're going to be doing these on Wednesdays. Was that a misspeak or?
Sorry, Tuesdays.
Okay.
That was a test to see if you were listening. Sorry, it's Tuesdays. Yeah, it's Tuesdays, same time right here, same bat channel. So, I know it's noon, so I'm gonna stop the recording here, but I'm gonna hang out for a few minutes if anybody wants to stay and chat or has any questions. I'll send you an email afterwards with the link to this. And you can also reach out to me, comments, questions.